Thanks for watching Afternoon Live. There is a live look outside from the Oregon coast, our In Its Spanish Head Resort Hotel camera in Lincoln City. Thanks again for joining us. In recognition of Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, our next guest joins us to help break the stigma of loneliness by helping men find emotional connection and meaningful support systems. We welcome back growth strategist and author of Build Your Village, our friend Florence Ann Romano. It's so nice to see you.
Hello, so good to see you pretty in pink today, my friend.
It's happening. It's warm outside. We're doing the things. Okay, well, let's talk about, we know that there is a loneliness epidemic. How are men
Right.
experiencing this differently?
It's interesting that people seem to think it's only women that go through this friendship recession or feel this disconnection, but men do too. And I laugh because I'm sure a lot of the viewers out there have seen this movie, but the movie I Love You Man with Jason Segel and Paul
Totally.
Rudd, right, years ago. And the reason it was so funny was because it was true.
Mm-hmm.
That's why people resonated with it. And the truth is, men tend to think, or at least society tends to deem vulnerability as weakness sometimes. And, men communicate differently than women do, and it's okay. We're not asking them to be like us and bond the way that we do, but it doesn't mean that they're precluded from needing connection or needing friendship. So paying special attention to how men need to bond and how they consider communication and what vulnerability means to them. This is all part of that emotional conversation for men.
Well, and just like women experience different pressures from society, there are also different cultural norms that can make it more challenging for men to connect, right?
Well, we've all experienced what it can be like when we feel judged by our reactions. We always talk about how the feeling is never wrong, it's the reaction that can be. And men, especially, I think, are put under a microscope of, if they don't react a certain way, then that equates to their masculinity. And you often hear the phrases, man up, don't cry, handle it on your own. And that's not helpful. I mean, let's just say that, that just plainly, it's not helpful when you're telling someone to man up in a moment that might be difficult. I have a 9-month-old nephew, JJ, and I look at him and I think to myself, what does strong mean when I look at you and how you're going to grow up and how you're going to handle situations? And I certainly want him and any other young man to grow up and know that they're deserving and worthy of love and support the way that everyone else, especially women in this world, we kind of yell it from a mountaintop. So by telling young men not to cry or to man up, you are devaluing their emotions. And so we want to make space for that. And how we make space for that looks and sounds different depending on the kind of the emotional maturity of a person. This is not just for men. This is for women too. This is for everyone. We have to establish kind of those constructs, and then also backing into it. And you hear me talk about this a lot in other ways. Backing into what's the goal here? What are we looking to accomplish in this conversation with this person? This case, men. What are we looking to accomplish? Because if we can set that goal, then depending on that person, their personality, perhaps their limitations that might be there, you're going to be able to customize that conversation. And this should be done truthfully across the gamut, no matter your gender.
Totally. Well, and what about just the concept of building your village, like we talk about all the time, as it relates to men, and how can we support them in finding those supportive people in their lives too that are so important?
Well, I love the idea of looking at the archetypes that I have in my book, Build Your Village, and thank you for showing that in the beginning. I love looking at that and thinking, how do men fit in there? Because they need these archetypes too, just as much as women do. But I also love the idea of allowing men to be men, allow them to bond the way they want, whether it is sports or whether it is going out for a cocktail or a beer or, going to watch sports, play sports, whatever it is that lets their guard down. Think about it as women when we want to bond. Sometimes it's a trip to Target or to Home Goods with your best friend, or you're just going to gab in the car 10 minutes between carpool. You're going to make it work for your life. And it's the same thing for men. We can sit here and say, do this, do that, be more vulnerable, talk about your feelings, let yourself cry, watch that rom-com. Well, you know what? That might not be the best advice for every man out there. Maybe it is for some, but not all. So don't take away what comes natural to men as well. Allow those environments to be fruitful and thriving. And sometimes it's about just allowing the space for that conversation to happen. And I love the idea of asking your friend how they feel. And it's so weird. I'm going to bring up reality show now, which I'm sure a lot of people will associate with. I was watching Love is Blind. I'm not going to lie. I do love that show. And there was this beautiful moment where one of the men that were on the show was really heartbroken about something that had happened with one of the women that he was dating in the pods. And all of the men in the room came around him, put a hand on his shoulder, and just kind of were there, just kind of in this space with him, just being present. And I thought, man, that's so powerful. No pun intended to say, man, that's so powerful. But it is, and it was. And that sometimes is enough, that you're just present in the moment instead of, like I talk about oftentimes, when you're asking for advice, sometimes you need to take a step back and think, okay, is it advice that I'm asking for? Am I just trying to talk it out, just let it out? Men are the same way too. And sometimes it's just about being there and being present, and that's enough.
Well, and sometimes, it makes sense that we can all buy into this, because if the men in our lives are better supported, they're going to show up for everyone as their best self.
Well, it's the oxygen mask that I always talk about. You got to put it on yourself before you can help anyone else. And men need to be poured into the same way we do that anyone else. Women, our children, our friendships, our spouses, our partners, whatever it is, it's pouring into that. And so, allowing men to have this opportunity to figure out, what does mental health look like for me? What does support look like for me? That man is going to be able to show up in their life in ways that are stronger, better, more solid, more effective. And this also applies to the workplace too, where
Sure.
we expect a lot of resiliency.
Yeah. Always a great conversation. Thank you so much, Florence Ann. It's always so nice to see you.
Thank you. So good to be with you.
Florence Ann's book again is Build Your Village, and we'll have more information on our website at katu.com. We'll be right back with more Afternoon Live right after this.